let's take Shannon Airport. Margaret Darcy went to prison for going on the runway and highlighting the fact that the US military still use our airport to carry out terrible atrocities in other lands. The state washes its hands of it, but so does the media. They're not interested. Margaret Darcy has to go on the runway to highlight the fact that terrible things are happening. Almost 500,000 people have died in Iraq, and we're part of it. We have facilitated it. There was a UN International Panel on Climate Change last week, or sometime or the week before, and it was very interesting what they came up with. And in fairness to the Times, Frank MacDonald gave it very good coverage. But the same paper and other papers are not dealing with the fact that our government are actually going in the opposite direction to what the UN International Panel on Climate Change are saying. We're not interested in this area. Now, another area, right? Just a guy phoned me just after lunchtime today, and he told me that he actually went on the Independent website to correct the fact that I wasn't in here for questions yesterday. A number of TDs were ridiculed in the media for not being in here for questions, and it was an unusual day for questions because our questions came out quicker than usual because there were 3 or 4 people missing, right? Now it turned out, I'd say most of the deputies that were actually missing for their questions from all sides, from all parties, were actually in committees at the time. And I was actually in the committee myself asking Philip Boucher some questions on banking for SMEs. Now, I actually did come in here because the questions actually came around a second time. And I was in here for my question, and the last count caller can verify that. And he went on the Independent website and he put a correction in just to clarify the fact that I actually did get in for my question. And you know what? They took it down. They wouldn't allow it. Likewise, the same gentleman, he emailed me some stuff about Irish water and the privatisation of water. And he sent me a copy of a letter that was sent to a Greek minister by Olli Rehn's office, which said, as you know, privatisation of public companies contributes to the reduction of public debt, as well as to the reduction of subsidies, other transfers of state guarantees to state-owned enterprises. It also has the potential of increasing the efficiency of companies and, by extension, the competitiveness of the economy as a whole, while attracting foreign direct investment. Now, there's a body in Europe called Corporate Europe Observatory, and they're a very well-respected body, and they got hold of this, and they went to highlight the fact that the privatisation of water is being challenged in many quarters. And they wrote, the European Commission is deliberately promoting privatisation of water services as one of the conditions being imposed as part of the bailouts. It has acknowledged in a letter to civil society groups, EU Commissioner Olli Rehn's Directorate was responding to questions posed in an open letter concerning the European Commission's role in imposing privatisation through the Troika in Greece, Portugal and other countries. The civil society groups have today written to Commissioner Rehn to demand that he refrains from any further pressure to impose water privatisation conditionalities. The Commission's push for privatisation goes against a growing trend in Europe and around the world, which has seen water privatisation fail to deliver. Paris and many other cities have recently remunicipalised their water services due to negative experiences with privatisation. The Dutch government in 2004 passed a law banning private sector provision of water supply, and the Italian Constitutional Court ruled that any future legislation attempting to privatise public services would be unconstitutional. The Commission has put forward any evidence to back its stance, has not put forward any evidence to back its stance in its reply, even though research shows that public provision is often more effective than private. It also violates key articles of the EU Treaty, which state that the EU should be neutral on the question of water ownership. Now, the same gentleman tried to put that on the same Independent website, and it wasn't allowed either. Now, this is called control of the news. If you dare raise your head above the parapet and challenge the establishment, you can expect to get kicked around good all by independent news and media. And they are very, very powerful. If most people in this country were asked, who has the most power in Ireland, the Taoiseach or Denis O'Brien? I would say my good friend Denis has more power. And I don't think it should be that way, and I think the government should rein them in, because I honestly think that a healthy, independent media would mean so much to this country. It could do so much for improving how our society works. And I actually think that the state should help to fund media in order to allow it to be more independent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy.